Acknowledge me!
You just made the list!
I am the B-E-S-T.
I'm better than you, and you know it. Damn.
Welcome back, episode 3, Down Under the Mat, here around the pool table of relevancy, here in Madison Square Garage. Again, to my left, Mr. Daniel Danielson. To my right, Rowdy Roddy Reese. And I am Booker Ted, here with our third episode, Down Under the Mat, talking all things wrestling. And obviously, very hard to not talk about this topic because a lot has happened in the wrestling world since our last episode in the last week, and I think you know what I'm talking about. And that obviously, first of all, was the passing of the great Terry Funk, and then the very tragic news of the loss of Bray Wyatt, Mr. Wyndham Rotunda. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting choked up just trying to talk about it now, and actually when I think about it, and obviously with this episode, it's going to be a little bit out of whack because normally we talk about Raw first because obviously Raw comes before Smackdown during the week, but I think it's very hard to not talk about the last episode of Smackdown first and have a bit of a discussion around that. And I think the first thing I want to say about that episode is it was absolutely beautiful. I don't think they really could have done any better in terms of all the touch points for Terry and especially Bray. I think whoever the poor person was that did that video package and probably knew him quite well, let's be honest, they did a hell of a job. And I would just like to, first of all, hear you guys and your thoughts on the video package, because both of you actually saw it before I did and gave me forewarning about the tissues, and I appreciate that. It still didn't prepare me, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. Reese, first of all, we'll hear from you, mate. How did you feel about the tribute?
Yeah, devastated, to be honest. News came very out of left field on Friday morning for us here in Australia. Always been a big fan of Bray Wyatt, but yeah, that video package summed up his career span perfectly. Captured all his magnificent moments and everything, so it's not too much else to say that hasn't already been said by the dozens and dozens of WWE superstars that have put up their personal stories about how positively Bray affected their lives. Great wrestling mind, and one that few and far in between and might not see again for a very long time.
I think that you touch on that. That's a good point, because obviously one of the last moments that he had in WWE was sharing the ring with The Undertaker and getting that passing of the torch. And there's a part of me that really does feel like we've lost the next Undertaker in that sense, you know, like he's only ever wrestled for WWE. He was always pushing boundaries with the different storylines. So yeah, we've definitely had a massive loss there. Daniel, what did you take on the whole thing? How do you feel?
Like you guys have said, it's a difficult loss, obviously, for someone so young. I think, is he the most recent loss of an active wrestler since Eddie and Benoit?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, it's funny you say that, because one thing I really thought about all day yesterday with everything I've seen, and sorry to interrupt, now that you've mentioned it, I have to say it, I haven't felt this much love and hurt since Eddie.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, the amount of people that are posting and talking about him, this really feels like Eddie. Yeah.
It was just, it was so unexpected as well. Like, a lot of the rumors going around on the forums and stuff was he was getting ready for a return.
Yeah.
And then now he's just gone.
Yeah. Like, it's horrible news, obviously, for his wife and family. And like you mentioned about all the different WWE superstars and even AEW and everywhere else posting attributes to him. He was a brilliant mind. He was super creative. You said he was the next Undertaker. I think he was the only Bray Wyatt.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
He, although it was polarizing at times, there was a lot of talk around fans that, you know, he used to bury characters and wrestlers struggled to come out of feuds with Bray because he just didn't put people over the way that he did, because his character and what Bray Wyatt and The Fiend and everything was so difficult for other people to work with sometimes. You can see, though, when you look through that video package, which, like we discussed, is brilliant. WWE, their editing teams, their video packages are Emmy-worthy. They are fantastic, the way they put these things together. And on 48 hours notice. Absolutely amazing quality of those sort of videos. But you see, I remember watching, I think it was Alexa Bliss, maybe, or somebody else, I don't know, probably Alexa, that posted the first time Bray came out in a pay-per-view to the whole world in his hands. And the whole crowd with the fireflies up and the phones in the darkness. And it pops each of the different Firefly Funhouse characters in the crowd at different points. And then when they finally show Bray, after like 5 minutes, like this is like an entrance that's longer than Roman Reigns, that you would think the crowd's like, what is going on? Like, I just don't understand what this is. The pop when they saw Bray, phenomenal. And
I remember when they replayed that of the door, I think they're talking about when the door opened. Yeah. I was so excited, man.
Exactly.
Like that, I was just like, yeah, I'm ready for this.
And that would work for 98% of wrestlers. Yeah. There is a very small amount of people that are that smart and creative and have such control over a character that something like that can work. And Bray was that kind of guy. Yeah. And from all of the things that you've seen from the wrestlers about how nice he was backstage, how creative he was such a good sounding board. Yeah. We talked before off air about the WrestleMania match with John Cena. Yeah. In a period where there was a pandemic and they were having wrestling matches in a warehouse with no crowds around, he had the creative nuance to be like, you know what? Let's make a movie. Let's make a cinematic. Yeah. It's just something completely different. And at the time, I think some people didn't receive it as well as they should have. Everyone's like, this is a bit weird. I'm like, this isn't wrestling. I don't know what it is. You look back at it now, a couple of years later.
It started something.
Because it changed everything.
Because now we have, like AEW have done their Stadium Stampede, very similar fashion matches. Obviously, we had The Undertaker, AJ Styles, which was absolutely brilliant. I've got to go back and watch that.
And then you look at all the Matt Hardy stuff that happened in the indie promotions, like Impact, Ring of Honor, all that sort of stuff. Like those.
Yeah, they were even earlier than that. But
highly compound filmed matches were.
But I think
you're drooping a little bit.
Yeah, your microphone's it's fallen on you.
It's gotten sad.
But you actually did point out something before we started recording, Reese, that I fully agree with you as well. One of the things I thought was really nice when SmackDown first came up was the fact that Eric Rowan was also on stage with the rest of the cast, and obviously he's not even employed with WWE, but they had him on there standing one side of Triple H and Braun standing the other side.
The White family.
Yeah, which and obviously you pointed out in the group chat after it all broke that half the White family's gone now. Yeah, and that's scary, man.
Oh, I suppose that goes back to the point that I said that Brody Lee or whatever would have been the other active wrestler, and he wasn't in WWE at the time, but AEW did a very similar thing. So
you raised the point there.
Yeah, it's hard to think that two of the most recent active wrestlers to pass were both in the White family.
Yeah, and we're probably going to skip a little bit ahead in the show, but I think, you guys would agree LA Knight, his promo coming out and talking about Bray, I mean, he did so well, and obviously, I was very interested to see what he was going to do, if he was just going to be quite open or if there was going to be some kayfabe still in there, and I think he kept that balance of I still want to be my character, but I've got to pay my respects to this man.
I feel like that promo came off in very good.
Oh, 100%. He balanced it so well. And one thing I noticed, and I was a little bit worried at first when they filmed him walking out from the back, was, and I noticed this straight away, I thought this guy's been bawling his eyes out because he was very red around the eyes. And, quite rightly, like, you're not going to sit here and say, oh my God, he was crying. I mean, who wouldn't, and he actually pointed out in the promo, it was the same spot in the video package, I think, affected him that affected me, and that was the photo of him with his kids and his partner, and that's when it really hit me at home and went, oh my God, man. I mean, this guy's a year older than me, and it's just like, that's way too young. And, we talked about Eddie, right? Eddie was 38, Bray's 36. Like, it's just way too young.
Brody was 40, 41?
Yeah.
But again,
young family. Young family. So, I think one thing we can definitely, I'm sure everyone says the same thing. Like, we just wish the best to all his family, especially, and his friends. during this time. And one thing I did notice actually is the fact that WWE announced that all sales from any of Bray Wyatt merch is going to be donated to the family.
Yeah,
so
brilliant.
if there's ever a time you're going to go
touch.
buy a Bray Wyatt shirt, do it now because it's going to go straight to his wife and kids. And, you know,
I'll
that's...
take that on board.
Yeah, and that's why I actually thought about that myself and thought I think I need to buy a shirt just for that sheer
I would
fact.
100% get the Wyatt Gym shirt.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love those little segments.
I get a Firefly Funhouse doll. Chuck it up on the
I think I'd like to go for the Fiend, man. I was a big fan of the Fiend.
Oh,
I really enjoyed it. I mean, you know, we won't even get into some of those matches because they weren't all fantastic, but I really was into the Fiend. I thought it was really something great. Yeah, I mean, then also obviously I want to touch on Terry Funk as well before we talk about some of the other points on Smackdown. Obviously another great loss for the wrestling world, but you know, I feel a little bit sorry for his family because obviously Bray Wyatt's passing, I think, has overshadowed Terry Funk's passing a little bit.
I did notice that a bit during SmackDown. Like, there was so many packages for Bray Wyatt, and then they did a small one for Terry Funk, and then had Cody Rhodes come out, do the promo, and did another package. But like, it's really tough when you have like two iconic wrestlers pass at the same time. It's just really hard to balance the playing favourites sort of thing. Not to say they were playing favourites, but
no, but I get you, and and obviously again, it's not about playing favourites and which is worse, but I think one of the things I thought about with it was number one, I didn't realise how old Terry Funk actually was. I knew he was old, but 79, and let's be honest, the average lifespan of the male pro wrestler, I think he went quite well past that because 79 is pretty good. I mean, I'm just going to say the males in my family usually don't make it past about 76. You've really got to fix your mic now, brother. I'm sorry. It's kissing the pool table of relevancy now.
is it tightening on the side? Is that going to fix it?
Nah,
Sorry.
We can edit this all out later.
We're not going to edit this.
No, I hate having to cut stuff out. It's just going to stay in there. But yeah, I think that was probably the tough part of it because obviously when you look at it, I mean, Bray's death was obviously a lot more impactful, a lot more shocking.
To the current fan base and the current wrestlers, I think. I think
Yeah.
career-wise, and we'll talk about this with Terry Funk, like the fact that he wrestled over 50 years, so many decades. He was in NWA, ECW, WCW, WWE. He was literally everywhere.
Yeah.
He was an impact at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. He impacted a lot of people. Yeah. And I think one of the key things I saw from his video package was Jerry the King Lawler say that he probably thinks that Terry Funk is the GOAT, is the greatest of all time in terms of what he has done, like you said, as a singles wrestler, as a tag team wrestler, and then bringing along this hardcore revolution and the fact that he found a way to re-energize himself, change his character up, change his styles up, keep himself relevant through every different decade.
Yeah. And not do that boomer, back in my day, we did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Way.
Yeah, he
didn't do the
up.
Jim Cornette.
Yeah. And I think I would say a comparison to that in current day, someone like Chris Jericho, in the way that they've continually reevaluated their character and kept themselves relevant.
Yeah.
Terry Funk was the same sort of thing from 30 years before Jericho started. But to have that longevity, to have that amount of relevance, and, you know, to have matches with literally everyone. Like, over 50 years, so many different places. He was such a well-respected wrestler, and I think his influence on people is really, really large. I think what Bray's influence on people right now is equivalent because of what he is right now to the fan base and to what WWE is. I mean, maybe in 50 years' time, will we think more about Terry Funk than Bray Wyatt? I don't know. That's just completely up to debate. But I think both of them had such a strong impact on the wrestling business inside and outside the ring that they both deserved to get as much, you know, flowers and video packages and everything as they possibly could because they were both super influential on the wrestling business as a whole.
I think, you know, you bang on what you're saying, and I think Terry Funk is one of those wrestlers that you know must be good because every wrestler in the business talks about him and talks about how they influenced him. So even though he himself was never, you know, not during his whole career, or especially when we saw him, was he a top card main event guy, but he was one of those stalwarts that was always there, you know, and putting other people over. And one thing, this was actually the morning that we found out about Bray. before I saw the news about Bray Wyatt, I was actually going back to try and look at some Terry Funk stuff to talk about for the podcast. And I actually went back and watched his match against Ric Flair. This is an I Quit match from 1989 at Night of Champions 9 for WCW. And I have to say, I'm going to go back and watch some other matches because I watched that and I was thoroughly entertained. It was a bloody good match. And you know what? I looked at it, and if you compare it to a lot of the matches we see today, in terms of technical ability, there's a big difference because there's not a lot of top rope, flip, dive to the outside, but the way they work the crowd and work the story.
There's a lot of character work.
Yeah, less is more is really what they do in these matches, and it really shows you how good they were with their characters, and the crowd is going absolutely nuts. Like you look at that and you go, man, that's Toronto level in terms of Rock Hogan. Yeah. So if you do get an opportunity, go back and watch that match. If you've got other ones that you've seen that you recommend, let us know in the comments. Definitely going to go back and watch some more and I'm trying to stay away from the death matches because obviously they are very much highlighted because they were more in our era. I'm trying to look back at some of the more classic stuff. But 50 years, as you said. Fun fact, his first ever match was in 1965. He was born in 1944 at the end of the war. His last match ever was in 2017.
Crazy.
So literally 6 years before he passed away.
His 70s.
Yeah. 73 years old was his last match before he gave it in. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, when you look at that, and the most notable, I looked up, trying to highlight some stuff. Mate, he won every belt there's been. Not WWE, because obviously that came along a lot later in his career, but his most notable ones were the tag team championships with his brother Dory Funk Jr. And he was actually also NWA heavyweight champion as well for over 400 days. So, and obviously back in the day, that was the belt, was the NWA belt. So those are the most notable. But if you go on there and search, there was hundreds. It really can't sit here and name them all. We'd take up the whole hour. So, very sad news. But if you get a chance, I think this is good opportunities to go back and look at these kinds of wrestlers when we, hear about them. And it's a bit sad to only do once they've passed away, but obviously he's been out of the scene for a while, but definitely go back and check them out.
Well, like one thing that Reese mentioned too is that bad things generally happen in threes. And today was, it's not as wrestling related, but Bob Barker at 99, 98.
Yeah, passed away. He's had a good run, hasn't he?
A lot of people remember him as obviously from the Price is Right and lots of stuff in America. Waterboy was what
was it Waterboy? No, Happy Gilmore. Happy
Gilmore with Adam Sandler. But also, he was one of the best Raw celebrity general managers they ever had on his episode.
I actually forgot that he'd done that.
I saw the video that I shared with you guys that he did with Chris Jericho, and that was hilarious. Yeah. So, it's been a tough week.
Yeah, it really has. Like, when you said that about the threes, I'm like, don't say that, man. Don't say it. But again, he's had a good run, man. Like 98 or 99, or whichever one.
It's huge, yeah.
Mate, far out. He didn't crack the 100, which is a bit of a shame, but that's a very rare club. So I guess let's touch on the rest of SmackDown. Now that we've done a bit of talking, and I'm sure Bray will come up even more later on, as well as Terry. But
the blue lights for SmackDown.
And obviously, I don't want to be too negative about the show because as a whole, I thought it was very well done, and the still sliding in of stuff of Bray throughout the whole thing. But I guess for me, one of the big things that I noticed, and I already mentioned this to you boys, and we talked on the last episode about the US title belt scene and how it's sort of failing and fading off a little bit. The first thing I noticed with the Ray and Waller match, Ray comes out, no belt around his waist. Now,
see, I noticed that as well. I was like, maybe he's got it under his shirt.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I thought, is there a little bit of nothing? No. But I guess, I don't know, maybe the night was so emotional that things were just forgotten. I think there's that chance, but still, you're not helping the relevancy of the title when the title holder's not even wearing it when he comes out. And it miraculously appeared at the end when Escobar was there hugging him. He had it. So obviously someone noticed and they snuck it out from somewhere because he had it. And he didn't come out with it either.
And like, especially with your United States champion being a Hall of Famer, the caliber of Rey Mysterio,
He should be wearing the belt.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's just...
Well, you need the belt to get Ray's rub. You don't need Ray to get the belt's rub. It's the other way around.
All the way around, exactly. I mean, the match itself, there were spots that were pretty good. I have to admit, and I don't want to assume it's Waller, but considering that I've seen Ray's matches all through my years of watching wrestling, and he very rarely has botches. There was a couple of miscommunications. I can see why Waller's probably not been brought up before. I think you can just iron them out.
He's recently getting off injury as well, so he's got some ring rust. So.
Yeah, I mean it's going to happen, right? They obviously haven't wrestled that much before, but there was, especially the right near the end where they cross-bodied each other at the same time. That was a pretty obvious.
Yeah, that one was.
But it's going to happen. It's going to just to sit here and say that these things aren't going to happen. It's a live show where you're making it up on the fly. So I don't want to sit here and say how terrible, but it definitely was noticeable. And again, Escobar coming in and interfering. Did we really care?
Austin Theory interfering.
No, don't care.
I even forgot about him interfering. That's how much I don't care.
That's why Santos came out.
Yeah.
Theory came out.
I don't know where they're going with it, but they need to do something good with it. They really do. I
think it needs to be a Santos Escobar heel turn.
Yeah, he needs to turn Ray, for sure.
Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah.
He's a much better heel.
Do you reckon win the belt, have a heel turn, and then potentially change the belt because he hates USA and change it to like a Latino
Do a
colour?
Will Spray on it.
Will
Hey?
Yeah. I mean, I think that could work. That could work.
Imagine how much hate that's going to bring into the American crowds. Like,
Oh, so much. As long as they
Maybe
don't have
they
any
will avoid
shows set for like Puerto Rico or Mexico anytime soon.
Yeah, that could be good. See, employ us. Mate.
The brains of the WWE over here.
So I can't remember if this is actually in order or not, but the other match, one of the other matches of the night, EO defending against Zelina.
yeah, look, when this kicked off, I was like, what? Why? Like, all of a sudden, random title match on SmackDown. I think they kind of played it off a little bit, as you mentioned, like, throwing back to Zelina Vega's 2 recent wins over Io Sky, but I still feel like if you were going to do that, you might as well have built that up to a pay-per-view match instead of just doing a random stuff.
They needed to give EO a win though. Because apart from
that's the thing. Like, it
Money
was
in the
so
Bank.
clear that Io was going to win.
Oh yeah.
So it was just...
I think that was the sad thing for Zelina Vega, right? Is that we knew that she wasn't going to win. But you knew it was going to be a good match. But it was just obvious because you're like, well, Io's not going to drop the belt yet. So that was a bit sad.
They need to give her some decent wins because I mean she won Money in the Bank, she cashed in.
Then
That's it.
Could she have wrestled Bayley?
Yeah. Huh?
Could she have wrestled Bayley instead?
No, but I mean
Leon's
EO needs the wins.
Yeah.
EO needs to start having some wins. And they're not obviously not going to give her Charlotte and Bianca or anything like that because they want to protect them still, which I think is dumb, but fine. You need EO to have a suite of wins against Zelina's and Natalia's and the likes to build her up and then let her knock off Charlotte at a pay-per-view or something and then just, keep her as a strong champion. Otherwise, why'd you even give her the belt?
Yeah, that's very true. But I mean, I'm really liking Zelina Vega. She's tiny, but she can wrestle.
Yeah, what happens
really
if,
good.
as we discussed, Santos turns, goes heel? What do you do with Zelina in the LWO? Does she go heel?
I mean, let's be honest. Do people really remember that the LWO exists as a stable?
No.
No, apart
They
from
don't come out.
LWO.
They don't come out together. They're not. They're not like Judgment Day where they're running Raw. Like there's no. It's more of a. If you're Latino, you're just automatically part of it. You know what I mean? Like it just seems. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're stretching it a little bit, and I do get a little bit over every time they do a frog splash, doing the Eddie Guerrero. I think it's well beyond taking advantage of his name now.
Oh yeah.
Like, just get up there and do the frog splash. We know Eddie used to do it. You don't have to keep doing the Viva La Raza.
The one who needs to keep doing is Dom Mysterio.
Exactly, because
Just
it
leave it
makes
to him.
sense, right? It makes sense.
Yeah.
But they can stop that.
Just paying on it to his father.
Yes, exactly. To his real daddy, his real puppy. And then something Cody Rhodes makes an appearance, which obviously it was sort of leaked online that he was going to be on SmackDown, and I think a lot of people assumed he was going to be there for Bray because obviously Bray was his apprentice on NXT when they had the
The game show NXT.
the game show version of it. But yeah, I didn't really remember the fact that Terry Funk and Dusty were actually good mates and had great feuds together. So obviously Cody's got a lot of experience and stories of Terry Funk and what was it, egg sucking dog?
Yeah, something like that.
Can we say that on the podcast? Can we say that?
Yeah,
Well, we said
we
it,
can.
so let's just
Approved.
continue. I think, and Cody, perfect person to have go out there, very natural, can tell a story and still make it entertaining when other people would tell it and you'd be like, oh, yawn. And, he still obviously mentioned Bray as well. My biggest problem with this segment was then dedicating the hardcore tag match to Terry Funk and Reese. What did you think of the hardcore tag team match?
I give it 2 thumbs down, man. Let's look at it this way. If it was a normal tag match, great match.
It's fine. Yeah,
The
it's really
fact that
fine.
they build it as a Terry Funk hardcore match, you go into it with some expectations.
Where's the trash can?
Where's the trash can?
Where's
the
the
kendo
flame,
sticks?
man?
Where's
the flame?
where are the chairs? We've
Is
got
the-
one table.
Even tease
One
me
table.
with a pretend bag of tacks.
Yeah.
Don't even have to bring the tacks out. Just tease me with it.
Yeah.
Well,
Just a
we
little
didn't
bit of
get
it, just
like
like
a
a film.
chainsaw. It used to be Terry Funk used to go by Chainsaw Charlie as one of his characters. Like we didn't get
Nothing.
anything of that. Nothing.
I mean, and I think I said this to you guys off air. They should have just had a tribute tag match because obviously, Terry Funk spent a lot of his years tag teaming with his brother, Dory Funk Jr., and they were multiple-time tag team champions. So, very much into tag team wrestling. I don't see a problem as to just, having a tribute tag match. To call it a Terry Funk hardcore match, I think was a bit silly, really.
I love the new Street Profits.
Mhm.
I think they look fantastic. I love the gimmick. I love the way that they're starting to push them as legitimate bad guy tag team now. What's the...
Still getting crab pops though.
because they still like them. What's the move called? The Relevancy? No, not the Relevancy. I can't even remember. Someone put in the comments their new tag team finisher, which is like pop-up spinebuster / neck breaker.
Yeah, no, it's...
I really like that as a finish.
Yeah, they've got a name for it. I can't think what
I
it's
think
called.
it's top notch.
Can I ask a question as to why Bobby only came out halfway through?
So this is my
The
question.
manager.
Why wasn't he there to start with?
This is my question around this, and I feel like WWE left something on the table here. Bobby comes out and looks after the Hurt Business 2.0, the Street Profits, whatever you're going to call it. As the Brawling Brutes didn't come out with our mate Sheamus.
No, I did notice that.
So if Bobby comes out,
Why didn't Sheamus come out?
where with Sheamus, then you get yourself a Sheamus and Bobby feud on top of, or you can do a 6-man feud, or whatever you want to do.
Don't we just love that? Sheamus and Bobby.
Oh, that'd be brutal.
Oh,
That would be a really good
I'd be
feud.
for that.
Say, WWE book us, mate. But then when Pete Dunne, I'm going to call him Pete Dunne, I'm not calling him Butch. Pete Dunne gets the table out from under the ring and then just accidentally just bumps into Bobby. I don't know if that was a spot or not because they kind of just awkwardly stand like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was a fun.
That's really awkward. And then, but that
It was funny though.
it probably was. But then that spear from Bobby,
Oh man, it was perfect.
he sold
Yeah,
it so well.
Bobby does some good.
And he's in a
stuff.
suit, man. Have you? I mean, I know I'm very.
Dapper gentleman.
I know I'm very unfit, but in a suit, I don't have that much mobility.
No, I don't have that
I don't
dexterity
even
in a
think
t-shirt.
outside the suit you have that much.
No, I don't. I really don't. It's a lot less. But yeah, look, all in all, it was a good match. I think it was just tainted by the label that it was.
Yeah, they left a lot on the table.
So.
Should
Pun
have
intended.
changed the label.
And then obviously, we already touched on it earlier, but the main event was LA Knight versus Finn Balor, and obviously the commentators sort of touched on it a few times. LA Knight being the last feud and opponent of Bray Wyatt, and Finn Balor obviously was the first opponent when Bray Wyatt debuted as the Fiend.
Yeah. The Demon versus Fiend feud and all that sort of stuff.
Correct. So, very fitting main event. I don't think they really needed to explain it. I mean, they did, but I think it was one of those situations where you didn't really have to say why they were doing it. I think everyone understood, and obviously they didn't have to come up with any silly excuses to why Finn was on SmackDown. Everyone just accepted that was the fact. And we already touched on the LA Knight promo, but I think, Dan, one of the bits that you specifically pointed out was obviously what he said at the end.
Yep.
About a wise man once told me, next time you see me, run, and the way he looked at the camera. That was also a great touch.
Good nod. Good nod.
Yeah, and the whole promo itself, fantastic. And I won't go over it again because I know we already touched on it. But
I think this also proved there's a lot of people that are for the LA Knight push because he's such a great character, he's such a good promo, but maybe he's not as good a wrestler. Give him 20 minutes with a decent wrestler. Look what he can do. Like,
the match was great. That was the next bit I was going to say.
I'm getting really keen for this LA Knight Miz feud.
Oh,
underrated, absolutely.
Stellar match. 100%.
I would not mind if this feud actually goes on for a while. Obviously,
You've got all opportunities to drag it out for as long as you want.
But don't have them do too many matches, I guess, is my main thing. Like, maybe not too many interferences. Try and make it that it's actually only interfered with when there's good reason for it.
Maybe you can have that tiebreaker at WrestleMania.
That would be good, man.
Oh, it won't last that long.
I don't know if it'll go that far, but...
Win the Rumble.
He'll win the Rumble.
Early call, fellas.
Nah, he will Cody.
I wouldn't be upset with that.
He's already said it. We've got video evidence.
But the match itself was fantastic. Like, it was really, really good. I think Finn, and I was looking at it going, is Finn going to get another loss here? Can anyone remember when was his last win?
I don't know.
It would have been before WrestleMania, right? Because he lost to Edge at WrestleMania, and I don't think he's won a match since.
No, I think he's probably won.
Maybe tag matches, but individual matches, I think he's on a loss, like a losing streak.
Didn't he go? He went down to... He beat Carmelo Hayes from NXT.
Does that count?
No, but that was on a Raw or SmackDown when Carmelo came up.
Oh, he did
So
too.
he did win that.
Yeah, okay.
We'll transition to Raw shortly, but
Yeah.
I think an interesting fact that I've seen going around podcasts and stuff in the last week or so is that between end of June and now, some formation of Judgment Day have main evented every episode of Raw. And it's kind of funny now that they've also now main evented the SmackDown as well. They're just throwing Finn out there left, right, and centre. You've got Rhea and Dom that were doing NXT and stuff. Dom with the North American title. Like, WWE's all in on Judgment Day.
Oh, they are, and you can't blame them. I think it's a good stable to be all in on. Really funny. We touched on losing streaks and stats and stuff. Really quick note. I can't remember the stat exactly off the top of my head, but I know you said before about people accusing Bray of burying people.
Yeah.
Just so you know, because his entire career was at WWE, his win percentage was only something like 39%.
Yeah.
So it's actually not that high.
No.
So he may have later on in his career, but he took a lot of losses.
I think not so much win losses, and how many of those losses were Husky Harris? Let's be fair.
Probably a lot. Or the other name he had, it was he went by something Rotunda. His brother Bo Dallas was Bo Rotunda, and he was, I can't remember what name it was.
Yeah.
But they went by Rotunda. I'm sure it was then.
That would have been really early before.
But it would have been a lot of losses if then, later on everyone's accusing him of burying. So that wraps it up for SmackDown. All in all, a great show. They ended it with another tribute to Bray with that beautiful picture they had up on the Titantron that they... and that was... And the fact that everyone could get their phones out and the thank you Brays and everything, even though they couldn't match it up.
And we forgot to touch on the video package to start the night and the spotlight on the rocking chair.
Yeah,
how it ended. Yeah, I was trying not to talk about it because I'm trying not to. On the microphone, but
what I would love to see, and I kind of thought it was a bit left of field when AEW put out a tweet saying, all respect for Bray Wyatt and everything like that, and they put out one of their tweets for it. I thought, what are you jumping on the back of the WWE for? But it's good that the entire industry is respecting wrestlers. It's not just
Definitely.
that.
I think that's the thing. Like moments like these really bring the wrestling community.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so Fozzy did a show in London on Friday night, and they got the crowd to do the whole world in his hands. So Jericho did that.
Yeah, that was good.
I don't know if it'll happen, but I would love to see AEW towards the end of All In, when it's nice and dark in Wembley Stadium, to just cut lights and just have the Fireflies. Yeah. Nothing else.
Yeah. I'm sure something will happen. I'm sure there'll be, multiple wrestlers. I'm sure will probably pay tribute to him.
Yeah.
Even if it's just armbands, like
I've heard a bunch of them get tattoos already. Have you seen that?
Yeah, man, everyone's getting them, and that you know what? That's something that gets me. It's not even.
I got space. I got an empty hand. So
it's not even just about his wrestling prowess. Obviously, he must have been an awesome dude because everybody's talking about, and you see when they talk about him, they say Wyndham. They talk about Wyndham Rotunda. They talk about him as a person, and he must have been a great guy because that's all we've seen people talk about. And if you got space, mate, that it looks like a pretty sick tattoo with the moth. Yeah, it looks awesome. So, So now we'll move on to Raw, I guess, from the beginning of the week that I had to go back and do a recap of because pretty much forgot all the awesomeness that was Raw after watching Smackdown.
The start of Raw, mate.
And that was the thing. Like, we were sitting there before the podcast started. It's like, what happened on Raw? And then we're like, oh, this happened. Oh, that's right, this happened. And it's like,
It's how much it affected us.
yeah, get the juices flowing. And like,
It was a show in Quebec.
In Quebec. It was Quebec, was it? In Montreal?
It was
Yeah.
no, it was Quebec.
Quebec. I don't know. I don't know the Quebec. Sorry. And they're all French speaking. I know that.
But that initial pop for Samuel, because I remember the show before Elimination Chamber, which was in Montreal, where they chanted for like 12 minutes for Sammy before he could say a word. This was close.
Yeah.
It was a sick opening.
Yeah.
The amount the crowd was chanting for him, he just let him run. And I think there was a point, if you watch, where he walks over to the timekeepers area and he just yells to them, I'm not letting them stop. Like, this is just going to keep going. Yeah. So go and tell someone in the back this segment's
just going to let it go. Well, you know what? I think someone at WWE may have watched our last podcast.
Oh, really?
Well, mainly because was there anything about Judgment Day running Raw? I don't know if you
Well,
know.
they didn't get a chance to talk.
They didn't get a chance to say that. So I don't know if they're running Raw anymore. But then, I mean, obviously the only thing that beat Sammy's pop,
Oh, it's KO's pop.
KO return.
I popped, man.
Oh, so hard.
I'm sitting.
It was amazing.
I was sitting in
Full
the
time.
kitchen making breakfast, listening to just Sammy's chants just go on and on and on. And then the promo started, and then he's like, "Oh, you didn't think I'd come alone?" I was like, "Oh,
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go."
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Fantastically done.
And then, you knew what was coming. It was like, okay, main event's going to be tag match, those guys versus Judgment Day. Pretty obvious. Obviously, home crowd advantage. You've got to take advantage of that. But great way to start the show and get the crowd all hyped up.
Was it this episode where they were like trying to figure out
Who was going to tag, yeah.
okay.
And then Rhea Ripley was just like, get the hell out of here, boys.
Yeah, exactly. Which
Mummy's
was great
just
because
real
it sort of
intense.
cemented that Rhea's in
Oh,
charge.
absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
And
Which
then
I think was a great way
Monkey's
to do
on
it.
top.
in the
Mummy's on
main
top.
event when she full scoop slammed
Oh,
KO.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And we'll get to the
Give her
main
a
event
Continental title run.
Absolutely.
Have her dethrone Gunther.
because the only
She can take
thing
on Roman,
is,
whatever.
and this is the thing we've got to remember, right? Is that, and I can't believe I forgot this because of watching SmackDown. Chad Gable versus Gunther.
Oh,
Yeah.
stellar match. Absolutely fantastic.
And brilliantly booked.
Yeah.
Because Gunther kept the title.
Did we
I think we
pick
called
that? Did
something
we
around
call
that,
something about a screwy finish? I think go back and
We
watch
did.
it. Go back and watch it. I think
Wait,
just employ us, man.
what happened? I can't remember.
It was a count out. He won by count out. So Gunther
That's
kept the
right,
beat.
count out.
And I have to say, I do love the respect for Barry Barricade, where
And
Chad
he's over the
suplexed him over Barry, so Barry didn't get hurt. So that was brilliant.
But before that, the chop from Gunther
Oh.
right on the ring post.
Yeah.
Oh, and like the sound of his hand.
Yeah.
Like he hit that hard.
Yeah, he did not let go.
Yeah. And again, they played the power bombs and the suplexes
Yep.
perfectly with the reversals and everything else. Like,
Brilliant.
I mean, I can't even remember all the spots in the match. There were so many, but they played it so well because obviously Gunther was very dominant throughout most of the match. Chad did a lot of wrestling from underneath and as the underdog, as he should. But the match itself, man, like I think the only problem they're going to have is outdoing that match at their next one. That's
Yeah.
going to be the problem. Like, how do you... But from what I've seen, I have every faith that they're going to. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I have faith that they will. But yeah, fantastic match.
The only way to, I guess, increase it is that you have the typical Roman Reigns match in that there's a ref bump and then Imperium come in like the Bloodline always do, push Gable down, then he gets through Imperium, then he gets to Gunther and then Gunther still wins.
Yeah.
Like that's...
I don't see
Paid
Chad
by
winning
numbers.
their next matchup. He won the 5-minute challenge. He won that match by count out.
Gunther beats him properly,
Gunther's got-
breaks the honky tonk record,
Yeah.
and then at Survivor Series or whatever the next pay-per-view is in a month's time,
Yeah.
then you can let him beat him.
Yeah, definitely. The feud's definitely not over. There's a lot they can do. And there's a lot they can do in between with it with, say, Otis and Kaiser. They can obviously just keep playing on that for a bit, and that will help stretch it out for that little bit longer with Gunther and Chad. But super excited for that. That's really bringing up the Intercontinental title again. It's made it something.
It's back to a meaningful championship.
Yeah.
100%, man. And it's one of the best storylines going on WWE at the moment. And then we also had a video package or a video promo that was pre-recorded of Shinsuke. Obviously talking about
promo.
Seth.
Fantastic.
Well, what I loved was the fact that they let him do it in Japanese.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then did the subtitles, which I felt made him not worry about, obviously, his...
And trying to make sure that he was saying the right thing. I feel like giving him more of an opportunity to do promo packages like that. We don't need to have him come out to the ring every week. If he's going to have a match, good. If he's just going to cut a promo, have a video package.
I will say...
It works so much more to build that feud. So
completely. The promos that Seth and Finn had, where they got to sit backstage and just cut a promo, were the best parts of their feud. Not the stuff in ring. I think when they gave him room.
Yeah.
And this one from Shinsuke
was good.
You give him room, and the fact that they tied it to that "I know about your back" thing from the week before. Everyone's like, "What did he say? What happened?" Everyone sort of got really more drawn into it. What is Shinsuke going to say? And although it was an injury angle, that's probably true, and it means that Seth might not retain for as long, and there's all that sort of stuff with it. I think it really made Shinsuke look like the calculating heel that he needs to be.
Yeah.
He's not just taking a chance that I kicked you in the head, now I'm going for a title shot. Now he's planning how
they
he's
can tell
getting
a story with it.
You look at how they turned Shinsuke heel when they did the AJ feud a few years back.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I don't feel like it was.
Really? I thought, mate, I thought it was the best way to end the
feud
match.
at all. I thought, ending the WrestleMania match that way, I was on board with it.
Yeah.
Just
that's more what I meant.
The matches from there, I feel like just fell flat.
No, I agree with you on that. It was because the heel turn saved the match. Because the match itself was not fantastic. The
heel was hyping up, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania, oh my god. And I was just like...
But can I just say, though, does that mean that they're going to change Payback to Bad Back? Or is it a bad back match at Payback? Is that... What, man? You cannot tell me you didn't think that.
Maybe he just needs to pay a chiropractor.
Oh, now you're stretching.
Back.
That's more stretched than the Bloodline story.
It's more stretched than his back is right now.
Oh, now, okay. We'll move on.
Man, they gotta stop.
We'll move. Look, I am super excited for Seth and Shinsuke, though. I think they're telling a story.
I'm on board that hype train now.
Definitely. I think this will probably be one of his better feuds that he's had since winning the title.
Yeah. It needs to not just be a one-off match. It needs to definitely. I think they need to drag this on a couple of months.
Because we had there's a lot of matches, a lot of segments on Raw compared to SmackDown. Obviously, we had Chelsea Green and Piper Niven have a dominant victory.
Good.
In tag team. It was what it needed to be. And the fact you mentioned this is Piper Niven carrying Chelsea out at the end. I thought was fantastic.
Showed Piper Niven very dominantly.
Like legitimately carrying her.
And then, legitimately carrying Chelsea Green to the back.
That's perfect. Exactly what you said needed to be done.
Tag team right now. And it's going to be like that for a few months. I can see it.
What was it? What's the name of the tag team that they... I can't remember. Did they have a tag team name? The girls from NXT?
They're party girls or something, aren't they?
I don't know.
The move they did, where she did the handstand, suplex on her shoulders off the turnbuckle, and that was sick.
That was good. Yeah.
That was very cool. I think that even though they got squashed...
commentators popped for that.
Well, even though they got squashed, the sheer fact that they did that move, it was the first time the crowd reacted for quite a while that night, because obviously they had reacted so much at the start.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a bit more about their reactions in a minute. But I think that was actually quite good to give them that spot so that you still remember them. So next time you see them, you go, oh, they're the guys who did that sick move, So even though they got squashed, they still, you still remember them for something. And speaking of crowd reaction, we had Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch and...
Zoe Stark.
Yeah, Zoe Stark again. Yeah, well...
I watch Raw while I'm working on Tuesdays because I work from home. And I completely...
Subtle flex there is. I get to watch this thing.
We know, mate. You message me when I'm driving around to actually working where I can't watch it.
Multitasking. Just
well, driving, sure. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, me.
Oh, right.
Multitask.
Well, the sad thing, I mean, I can't even remember all the stuff they talked about in the promo because it's easy to forget. And Becky's really going with this whole lemon thing. She had a lemon on her shirt again. But the saddest thing from it was there was a lot of chanting from the crowd during the segment. And I actually looked up afterwards what they were chanting. And please excuse my probably really poor French here, but what they were chanting was "On se calais, on se calais." over and over again. And we thought, what's going on
Does
here?
that mean we don't care?
We don't care.
We don't.
We don't care. And they kept chanting it over and over and over again.
Did we
very
all
loudly.
this last week, though, that this feud has gone on too long?
Well, it started
Even
before
the Canadian
WrestleMania.
fans don't care about it anymore.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, and that's saying something. When
And
a
Trish-
Canadian is in the feud and is...
Trish is royalty in Canada.
Yeah.
She's
so
royalty.
For the fans to be turning on the feud like that,
Yeah.
like, that's when you need to pull the plug.
Well, I don't think we need it. And now Becky's having another match against Zoe Stark
Oh, my God.
this week coming in a no disqualification.
Falls count anyway, whatever.
Again, okay. I don't even think we should talk about it anymore. I think it
let's-
sums it up itself.
I
the fact
prefer
that
that match type. I love Falls Count Anywhere
Yeah.
matches. I love when matches go into the crowd, go out the back in the corridors and all that sort of stuff. We don't get it as often anymore.
You know, it's just a screw way to get Trish to chip kicker and then
Oh,
do a
100%.
pay-per-view match. Like, no one's going to care.
And then they're going to wrestle at Payback. We know it's going
In
to...
a steel cage, and then Trish can go away for a while.
Exactly.
Just go back on the shelf and come back as a legend in 2 years' time at the Women's Royal Rumble. We'll pop again.
Another great moment on the show, this one actually was quite great, was our mate The Miz against... I'll get this right, because otherwise Reese will really hate
Just
me.
Want me to just say-
Akira Tozawa.
Yeah, correct.
That's really not that hard.
I'm going to keep referring to my screen.
You
when I
can
say-
nail Shinsuke Nakamura, but like Akira Tozawa...
I've never really seen him wrestle, man. I'm struggling, all right? Just bear with me. Akira Tozawa versus The Miz, and quite obviously we had LA Knight come and return the favour that Miz had given him on the previous Smackdown. And I before I ask you guys your opinion on the whole match, can I just say, best commentary quote of all time by LA Knight while on commentary, The Miz is what you get if Biff Tannen banged a frog and pushed it down the stairs. They need to make
good.
that a shirt.
Oh, who are they? AEW? Make a shirt.
Oh, dude, but come on, that's an awesome quote.
Ooh, a little bit of the bubble.
A little bit of the bubble. Hey,
Make a shirt out.
hey, can I just say, I had a little bit of the bubble on the cruise. It tasted like crap.
Controversial.
Yeah, it was not good. So what did you think of the match?
Yeah, I thought it was very quick. I popped for the finish.
It wasn't that quick. It was 7 minutes.
It felt quick.
Yeah.
It felt
Because half of it was probably the LA commentary and ad breaks.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I was happy for Tozawa to get the win, which is funny enough. I remember if I was talking to you boys or somebody else about this. I'm surprised Akira Tozawa has not been future endeavored yet. But the fact that he got that win over the Miz,
He is the current day Funaki
100%.
in that
Just
I loved Kai and Tai, man.
Oh, man.
Kai and Tai were the
Funaki was
best.
fantastic, though.
rather than getting some developmental person from the local indie wrestling scene or whatever, throwing them for a match,
Tozawa.
you throw him Tozawa, and he just knows what his place is, and he's good in the ring,
Yeah.
he can do what he needs to do, and I don't think he's ever going to lose his heat because he's that fun character that we all sort of get behind. It's like, oh, maybe he's going to win. This time?
He's also tiny. He's so small, man.
Yeah. It's Tajiri, Funaki, they're
It
all
was a
so.
great classic.
Yeah, okay.
Where he came in,
And he won by the greatest move in wrestling history.
Surprise roll up.
Surprise
I
roll-up.
was wrong. Most
It used to.
protected
When did
move,
it? When did it
fourth
stop getting called the schoolboy?
I don't know. Well,
Or is that just because I learnt that from playing WWE
I think you did.
on PlayStation? It
Yeah.
was called that when you make your
was the
character
move.
in the move. I always called it the schoolboy, but surprise roll up. We'll stick with that. But again, we already said it before. Obviously, very excited for the Miz and LA Knight's
La.
feud, and I think it added to it. I don't think it was a stretch. I think the fact that he, paid him back, I think was awesome. And yeah, Akira Tozawa. I'll keep an eye out for him. Hopefully, he gets a little bit more airtime. Good on him for getting the win.
don't count.
The two other matches we have to touch on.
Okay.
I love Mummy, and I love Mummy getting dominant victories.
Oh yeah.
And I love a
that was a match.
standing cloverleaf submission. That looked
Dude, it
really
was awesome.
It shouldn't be Candice LeRae that we're burying. She is a better wrestler than what they're giving her. Sure, there's probably a long-term story, and I get that the current feud is Raquel and Rhea.
The long-term story is like 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
but I don't think Candice and Indy Hartwell and that should be being buried like this. I think they need to.
But who else have they got?
But let's be real. They haven't been doing anything with either of those wrestlers anyway. At this,
Well, it's because they can't find Johnny Gargano. As soon as you find him,
where is he, fellas?
the way comes back and everyone's good again. But we just can't find Johnny.
That's how you get Austin Theory over again.
put him back in the way.
If anyone has seen Johnny, please call Crime Stoppers on 1300.
Or tweet at Tommaso Ciampa, because he's still looking for him.
He's a help out boy.
And if you see Randy anywhere as well, if you can at the original bro, he's looking for his bro. Thank you for reminding me about that match, because I'd completely forgotten about that one too. But the standing clover league is sick.
Yes,
it looks very, very cool.
She's not going to do it on Raquel, but if she does, hard.
How?
That's what I'm saying.
I reckon I'll be able to pull it off somehow.
Okay, good luck to him. But
just make that as a note now when it happens.
That you called it.
And then I'm assuming the other match is the main event, is what you wanted to talk about.
Well, no, the other one's the Glass Bros versus the New Day.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're still trying to tease a Drew heel turn, and then the New Day had that backstage segment saying it was a good match. And we'll do it again.
I liked it.
That's right, because the Viking Raiders interfered.
They did. They were hiding under the ring. They did an old hornswoggle. And if both of them
space under the ring for them.
I was going to say, if they were both under there, that's one smelly under ring.
Are you telling me that they were both down under the mat?
Yes.
You're welcome.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
If you guys want to switch off now, I don't.
No, don't switch off.
Like and subscribe.
If you switch over to WWF, Mankind's about to win the title. Click. Everybody goes.
What podcast are we telling them to go watch instead?
Don't. Just
moving on.
I mean, what culture they probably already watch anyway. Those guys are legends. And then obviously the main event was what everybody in Quebec was waiting for, and that's where they really had their reactions, because I think a lot of the other matches, they were just waiting for Sammy and Kevin to come back out. And look, okay, it was a little bit obvious that they were going to get Cody in there to make it a triple tag so that they could have the whole Judgment Day wrestle. I really don't mind that. I think they were doing the obvious home crowd rub, and they just wanted to make sure that Cody was still involved.
They don't do it as they used to, though.
No, but they did it well this time, because I mean, you had to. Nothing else was going to get the cheers that got. And you already pointed out about your favourite spot during the match. Mr. KO receiving the power slam on the outside from Mummy. Nice spot there. The match as a whole I thought was pretty good. Obviously, Dom took the pin and took the loss, as he should. That makes sense.
Paid by numbers for their main events lately, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's not progressing any storylines anywhere. It's just keeping the wheels spinning. It's keeping them all in the main event.
Yeah, like, how long has this KO Sammy Judgment Day stuff been going on? It's been...
But it's the same as
weeks or something now.
The Roman Bloodline stuff
Nothing's come out.
main eventing SmackDown for months. It didn't go anywhere.
But I think obviously everyone's waiting for that Finn Damien part of it, right? So the feud with Sammy and KO is kind of like a different storyline almost to what's going on in the Judgment Day. But one of the things we were really worried about that I noticed at the end, and I know you noticed, Reese, I don't know if you saw it, Daniel, was KO quite visibly in pain after the match and not being able to lift his arm.
Yeah, Cody went to raise his arm and Kevin's like, no, don't do that. So,
unless he's just a really good actor.
Injury too soon. Maybe they just brought him back to do that match because they knew.
Because he's in Canada. Well, he did work at Dark Mac last week, so that's why when Sammy came out, like we said, and he said he was going to come alone, they actually had a dark match after SmackDown last week where KO was in the ring with them, so I kind of knew that was coming, that he was ready.
I mean, it was awesome. Raw was a good show. Yeah. As I said, the main downside was really that Trish and Becky segment. I think that was a real low point.
Just finish the feud, move on, please.
Yeah, get on with it.
Payback can get
when you have people chanting "We don't care," and obviously whoever was doing the sound for them at the time didn't speak French and didn't dub out the crowd like they normally do when they're chanting.
I'm like, they're chanting. Yes, let's turn this up.
So I think they've gotten the hint now. So that was it for WWE wrap-up. Actually, I do want to touch on it really quickly before we get on to AEW, really quickly. Sure. Obviously, SmackDown's going to be in India this week?
No.
Or is it the week after?
No, SmackDown's in America with John Cena returning on the 1st.
Yeah.
And then they're doing an India show.
Oh, okay. I saw that. I thought they were doing SmackDown in India.
Both.
Yes.
It's going to be both.
Hooray.
I'm very interested to see, number one, what John Cena, what tribute he gives to Bray, because I'm sure he probably will. Mm-hmm. I don't think he can go on there without at least saying something.
Yep.
And then what's he going to do?
I'm calling it now. He's going to be on the Grayson Waller effect. And then John Cena's getting the Grayson Waller run at the
No,
Super
they've already announced somebody else is on the Grayson Waller effect this week.
I obviously
I can't remember who it
enough
is.
attention.
It's not John Cena.
If they had done this right,
They would have just
Austin Theory could come out and say, "You're irrelevant. I beat you."
then we get another.
Oh, yeah.
No.
No, I don't know, but I don't think they will. I don't think that's going to happen. But if they'd done that story correctly and made him out to be a legend killer, could you not then do that and get more heat on him with John Cena coming back and him coming out and going, "I beat you, mate. What are you doing here?" But anyway,
Maybe that's going to happen anyway.
it could, but it's too late, and he's feuding with other people that we don't care about. So anyway, we'll move on now. Very excited to see what they do with SmackDown when John Cena turns up. But let's move on to AEW.
Cody is being on the Grayson Waller effect.
That's right.
Payback.
Ah, there we go.
And Payback, but that's not
Bad back.
next week.
Thank you.
maybe.
It's bad back.
Sure.
Note that down.
It's coming.
It's
So
coming.
on to AEW. We've got the very exciting All In at Wembley happening tomorrow. So obviously it'll be Sunday
It's in
in the UK.
12 hours.
We'll be
Eastern
watching it
time.
here. Unfortunately, we all have day jobs, so we won't be watching it live. We will be watching it in the afternoon and doing a reaction show for All In.
We make shit on AEW sometimes, but we'll watch it.
It looks like a pretty good cut.
Yeah, it does.
It does, actually. I've looked at it now, and I'm still surprised that Cash Wheeler,
Yeah, we were saying
It's going to be there.
Week, apparently.
whatever they're paying the lawyers is obviously enough to get him still to head over to the UK. I don't want to go through the whole card because obviously there's a lot there, and I think we'll probably touch on it more in the reaction video. I more wanted to check with you guys what's the match you're most looking forward to, and then what's the one you're not looking forward to.
I think most looking forward to is kind of obvious. MJF first, Adam Cole, baby.
Yes, in general.
100%.
Yes.
I'm pumped for that. Least looking forward to, geez, where do I start? I'm not a fan of Darby Allin. So
Yeah, I don't care for that
I'm
much
not
at
too
all.
fussed
Really?
about that
Yeah.
much.
And do you think he's been with Sting too long, and he's still in
I
Sting's
think
shadow
it's-
a little bit?
Controversial opinion. I never liked WCW. I never cared for Sting. Ever. And I just don't pop for him. I watched him in TNA. Like, he was
Can you note
fine.
down the time on the podcast so I can
edit this part out?
that part out?
No. He's fine. He's a great character. I get it. I just have never cared. So the stuff with him and Darby. Oh, not really.
I cared when he came to WWE. Past his prime.
Yeah, but they missed the opportunity to have a Sting Undertaker match in their primes. They never did it, and
Well, they're never going to do it because who would win?
exactly. Undertaker. We all know that.
Oh, that's
Vince would win. Anyway,
There's no debate on that.
that's the one I
There's
least
no
care for.
debate.
Is that match? Just not fussed.
Yeah, I'm not fussed about it. I think that's probably it for me. But also, like, let's talk about the real world championship match. that they're having. Are they going to be doing a new belt for CM Punk, do you reckon? Or are they just going to go with the AEW belt with the X?
CM Punk. CM Punk.
It depends on what CM Punk wants, I think.
CM Punk.
It's because what he wants, he gets. Let's be honest. That's what's happening with Tony Khan at the moment. I think CM really likes having that belt with the E crossed out to just get at the elite.
Oh, well, actually, now that you mentioned Elite, that's the other match I'm not too fussed on. The Golden Elite versus the other people.
Yeah, what does that
Bullet
even
Club.
mean?
Bullet Club.
I saw
Bullet
that,
Club
no,
good though.
Golden Elite refers to Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi from their time in
And
New
Hangman
Japan
Page.
Yeah, okay.
pro wrestling or pro wrestling.
Well, I'll say that I'm the same as you guys. The match I'm definitely most looking forward to is 100% MJF against Adam Cole, baby. And after, if you haven't seen it, Hot Ones on YouTube, they do a truth or dab with Adam Cole and MJF. Brilliant episode. Go
Very
watch it.
entertaining.
So entertaining. They're great. You can see
They've
that
got
their
great
on-screen
chemistry.
their on-screen chemistry obviously matches their off-screen chemistry because they were brilliant. But that's the match I'm most looking forward to. The one I'm actually least looking forward to is actually for the tag team titles. I'm sick of the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
I'm
As
sick
long
of
as
them,
they don't
man.
win, but like,
But they're probably going to because it's all in and it's a record crowd and everything else. Like FTR, obviously, even though we don't even know if they are going to be there yet, it might be that the Young Bucks just turn up and get handed the belts because they don't make it through customs.
could you imagine?
But I'm very much over the Young Bucks now. To begin with, I thought it was very exciting. They were very cool. I popped a lot for their stuff, but now I'm just over it. Now I'm just-
They, along with Kenny Omega, were some of the reasons that I initially tuned into AEW when they started, because
Yep.
everyone was always talking about Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and I hadn't really watched much of their work. And then AEW was a good enough reason for me to start tuning in. I was pretty impressed with it, but also like very overhyped at times, I feel. And like their good matches are, I feel, few and far in between. They just do a lot of super kicks, so okay.
And the other thing I want to touch on, because I don't know if this is happening or not, but I did hear it on another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There's apparently a week later, there's All Out.
All Out, yep.
So a week
In
later,
Japan.
they have a pay-per-view.
Yep.
After that pay-per-view.
Yep.
That's
that
way
is
too close.
absolutely correct. There's already matches announced for All Out.
Well, you say that, but then look at when Roman won the Universal Championship. That was a week after SummerSlam, where Bray beat.
But that wasn't in a
But it
pay-per-view.
wasn't a pay-per-view, though.
It was a pay-per-view.
Was it?
They did SummerSlam and then they did a payback a week later, and that's when Roman won.
Oh.
Ah.
Didn't realise that. Oh, there you go. Mate, this is why you're here, man. This is why you're here.
I'm going to swallow my pride, because I remember on the last episode of this podcast, we all shat on the Jericho and Ospreay feud and said that this is going to be terrible. And, oh, nobody wants to see this other than Chris Jericho. And then I saw their promo on Dynamite, and holy crap,
Oh, I still haven't watched that yet.
it was so good. Like, the way that Ospreay just got up into his face and, like, and just said that I can beat Ibushi and Omega and Jericho all in, like, a 3-month period. No one else in the world can do that. My contract runs out in 4 months. I'm going to put all of these names on my list and I will be the best person in the world. I am the best wrestler in the world.
I'm going to go back and watch it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, boys, go and see it. And then Jericho.
I saw him turning up at the indie show.
So Rev Pro Wrestling.
Rev Pro,
I saw it.
yeah. That was
watched
cool.
that video.
I thought that was pretty cool.
No.
Obviously, it's
Watch
something
this
you're-
Dynamite promo.
So you're looking forward
It
to
was
it
a
now.
contract signing.
You've done full U-turn here, man.
Yeah,
Let's-
absolutely. Fully. I
Let's
admit
put
it.
it on once we're done here. We'll have a look.
Okay.
Well,
check
we
it
can
out.
watch it because it was such a good promo, and you fully got invested in Ospreay proving that he's the best in the world,
Okay.
and then you got invested because Jericho was the one who called Ospreay 5 years ago. Because I don't know how much you guys followed Ospreay's career pre AEW and stuff like that. In New Japan, he was doing lots of very risky moves. And was almost at a point in his career where he was getting neck problems, and like if he took a bump the wrong way, like he might not be able to wrestle again. And so Jericho was the one who called him and said, "Hey, bro, just tone it back a bit. Work on some other parts of your thing. Stop doing these stupid pile drivers off the top rope and stuff. You don't need to do that. Reinvent yourself as a character." And that's what's got Ospreay to bulk up and just become the wrestler that he is now. Maybe kayfabe, maybe not. Jericho will take claim that he's made Ospreay what he is now. This whole promo brought it together. I mean, I'm all in for that match.
Oh, he said it, fellas. He said
I'm
it.
all in.
That's an easy one. I am also interested to see, and I hope this might help the match a little bit because obviously their women's division has been struggling. The Fatal 4-Way for the women's title.
It should be interesting.
Well, I'm hoping that with Saraya, let's just call it Paige.
No, let's not. She doesn't even look
Oh,
like
okay.
Paige
Well, it's also Saraya. She has said that herself, but for some reason Americans only can say Saraya, even though her name is Saraya.
Saraya.
I really hope she gets a massive pop being in her hometown, and that helps the match get a
Fully
bit more
expected.
traction.
Fully expected.
Well, you would hope so.
No. It's not. It's.
You reckon it's a given?
It's a foregone conclusion.
I hope so. And if her family are there, because her family obviously are all wrestlers, I hope they're there, and maybe she'll get a win, and that might help boost up.
I don't think she wins, but I'd love to see it.
Well, if she can get a hug with her family in the ring at least, but she's a heel, isn't she?
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen.
Who's even champion right?
Pardon?
Who's champion right?
Britt Baker,
No.
isn't it?
No, it's the other chick. I can't remember her name.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive.
This is how much we don't even watch it.
All in Wembley.
Just
Park.
talk amongst yourselves
just a
while
couple
we look
minutes.
it up.
I don't know. I'm just clicking on the first link.
Here we go.
Oh, no, I don't want to accept your cookies.
And we don't ask
Scout
you to
cookies?
accept cookies on our podcast.
Peppermint Thins?
Pardon?
Are they Girl Scout cookies?
Yes. Everyone loves cookies.
If they were Crown Royals, man.
It's Hikaru Shida is the champion.
I said that.
Is it?
It's Hikaru Shida is the champion versus Tony Storm versus Saraya.
So far behind. But that's how much I don't care. But I'm going to watch this.
Good.
It's going to be awesome.
We will
And
watch
then we're going to do a reaction video, and you're all going to watch it, and you're probably going to roast us because we have no idea about AEW. So, Okay, well, that's it. All in tomorrow. Very excited. I know that a few of my friends who are wrestling fans are definitely going to watch it as well. I think they're actually going to watch it earlier than we are. Lucky buggers, but that's all right.
Stay off X/Twitter.
Yeah, I'm going to have to avoid social media all day. Might as well just turn my phone on airplane.
Good old X.
But if you do want to tweet us your reactions to All In and all the podcast, our Twitters are down below. Leave that in, Ted. Right there. Chuck that in.
Mate, you guys are giving me a lot to edit, I tell you. And you guys have seen the video so far. Editing is not my forte. I'm giving it a red hot go.
That's all right. It's come a long way since episode 1.
But can I just say, you boys were roasting me last time for Wrestler Or. And we've actually had a suggestion in the comments for our next Wrestler Or.
Yeah.
And that's for Wrestler Or Daytime Soap. So on the next episode, we're going to do that.
I'll defend my championship.
You will defend your championship, yes.
I don't know. I'm just claiming that's mine now.
I've got the perfect trophy for it that I'm going to bring next time.
Done.
I've got a trophy for you.
Is it a golden dildo?
No, it's not a gold dildo. Wow. Okay, that took a turn.
Could be a rubber chicken.
Boys, stop. Wow.
Sorry, we're just going all in on these jokes.
Yeah, we are going all in. No, well, that wraps it up, guys. Obviously, next episode, look out for Wrestler Or Daytime Soap. So watch a lot of Daytime Soap so you can get up to date and guess correctly.
Yep.
Days of Our Lives.
Let us know what drafts you want to see. They're popping up on the channel.
Well, next draft coming out this week, you're going to see, is for entrance music. So keep an eye out for that one.
Controversial.
It's a very controversial one. I can't wait to see the reactions. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Danielson, Roddy Reese,
Thank you.
Booker Ted. Thank you for joining us here around the pool table of relevancy in Madison Square Garage. And once again, rest in peace, Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. Thank you so much for everything you've done for wrestling. And we'll see you guys next time.